All right. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me tonight on the Energetic Psyche podcast hosted by yours truly, Dr. Adrian Campbell, where we talk about real life, challenge assumptions, and explore different ways of being in the world. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. This is my first solo podcast of 2025. I'll be doing it every week except the fourth Sunday of the month. That'll be me and Dr. Kaki Miller. Every fourth Sunday, we do a 2-hour live. So it's a little bit different, a little bit more about community and getting questions from you guys and answering chats. But the 3 weeks in between will be just yours truly. So that's what you have tonight. So again, thank you so much for joining me. We're going to chat tonight a little bit about the differences between proactive self-care and reactive self-care and why you need both. All right. So why did I decide to talk about this? Most people I know that are in my life that I have relationships with of varying degrees are having a very hard time right now in the US. Our new president has made a lot of changes very quickly that are causing a lot of challenges and struggles for us, me included. I've had a lot of phone calls with friends, family, loved ones, clients, text messages, almost every group I'm in, there, it comes up. It's, it's a problem. People are struggling, for sure. So, as somebody who is a professional and professional caregiver, helper, a lot of what I have been trying to help people find is ways to take care of themselves. And as most of you who know me know, I know these things because I use them for myself, right? So this isn't just like pie in the sky, great idea crap, guys. Like I actually know what I'm talking about. I use a lot of these tools or have in the past, and I just want to help share them so that we can all be our best, feel our best, do our best, because the world needs us, like big time. If you're someone who is struggling in the US right now with everything that's going on, the world needs you. We need us. Okay. You matter. You're part of the community. You're part of the change that we need to create. And I want to help support you. So that's what we're doing tonight. So proactive versus reactive self-care. Let's chat about that just a little bit. I want to start by talking about the window of tolerance, which can get very sciencey, and I'm not going to do that. I'm going to keep this shit simple. This isn't an hour-long episode. It's probably going to be around 20 minutes or so. So we're keeping things simple, easy, and applicable. Okay. So the window of tolerance is essentially how much you can tolerate before you lose your shit. It's basically what it comes down to. Like I said, we can get all sciencey and fancy, but we're not going to do that. So it's how much you can tolerate, window of tolerance, before you lose your shit. There's two different ways that you lose your shit. One is hyper arousal. So if you imagine like this is the window, right? And in between here, like everything's cool. No matter what happens, you're just cruising through life, things going, you're like, oh, it's okay. It's not that big of a deal, blah, blah, blah. And then something happens that you kind of flip out, whether it's road rage, something worse, who knows, but you act in a way that is not in alignment with your values. You act in a way that maybe you're not proud of later. And you get really angry, you get really upset. Think of hyperarousal as kind of like an explosive, right? So we're going above the window of tolerance when we're in hyperarousal. The other way you lose your shit is when we go hypoarousal. So if here's the window, again, I'm cruising along, it's life, and then we just dip down. So we go below. And what that looks like is apathy, depression. Sometimes we literally end up in such a feeling of helplessness that we end up paralyzed. And so we just lay on the couch because we think the world is ending and there's nothing we can do. Those are all examples of hypoarousal. Okay. So going below the window, either way you get there, you're either above or below. You're outside the window of tolerance, which does not feel good, doesn't allow you to show up in your life the way that you are your best, doesn't allow you to create the change and be that strong, resilient member of community that we need right now, right? So how do we deal with coming above and below that window of tolerance? Well, there's proactive self-care, which is going to help us expand that window so that we get to freak out a little bit more before we bounce out either above or below. Or there's reactive self-care, which is basically when we do bounce out of the window, like how do we deal with that as quick as possible and get back in? Okay. So let's talk about this. Sorry, back it up. So what creates the size of that window? Because really that's what we're trying to do with proactive self-care is we want to make the window bigger. Okay. So things that make the window smaller, and I want to talk about this first because these are the things that we want to avoid or minimize or do our best to work through process so that we can get out of the shrunk space and back into the big space. Okay. So fear, trauma. So and I'm talking like developmental trauma, post-traumatic stress trauma, big T trauma, and even like complex PTSD, but over time, right? We've shrunk this window. It's not necessarily something that like you're having a bad day, so your window gets smaller. It's more of over time, it gets smaller and smaller. Another thing though, that can make your window smaller that I think people forget about is chronic stress or chronic pain. Those are two things, especially in the populations I work with, veterans, military, first responders, even athletes, that you just kind of deal with. You don't really think about it a lot. You just kind of put up with it. But chronic pain and chronic stress bring your window down. So if you've ever like not slept well for a few weeks, you know how you like react a little bit more strongly maybe to certain things than you normally would. It's because that window has shrunk and you're going into hyper arousal a lot quicker. Okay. And that's chronic stress, lack of sleep, chronic pain. It just makes everything a little bit more difficult. So that's all the bad news. But how do we make the window bigger? Right? Because we can. And it's so much simpler than you think. Safety, love, and being resourced. And when I say being resourced, that means that like you don't have to do everything yourself, but you know how to get it or how to find it, which is important because when we start to stack everything on us, like we have to make the changes. We have to come up with the answers. We have to do everything. That's exhausting. And if you're already, especially if you're in like hypo arousal, so you're below the window and you're like laying on your couch with potato chips everywhere and you're just like life, trying to like feel capable and like put everything on your own shoulders is just going to bury you further. Right. So it's not about just you, but it's about being in community and knowing where to access resources. So that's why I call it being resourced. Okay. So to expand the window again, we're looking for feelings of safety, feelings of love. So being loved, knowing that you're loved, and being resourced. That helps make the window bigger. Okay. And we're going to talk about ways to do all of those things. Oh, thanks for the comment, Scott. I appreciate that. All right. So let's start with reactive self-care, because I feel like that's kind of where the world is right now. Like we're struggling, right? I mean, this is what I've really been talking to people about a lot over the last week is what can I do right now? Like I'm starting to have a panic attack. I feel like shit. I'm not sleeping. Did you read the news this morning? Holy shit. Now what's happening? Blah, 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 blah. So reactive self-care is where we do things to make us feel better. Again, I could get complicated, but I'm not going to, because what's the fucking point, right? We need easy, practical, applicable. So what makes you feel better? What are the things that you can do that make you feel safe, make you feel loved, and make you feel resourced? And that doesn't mean curl up in a burrito on the couch, don't talk to anybody, and hole away. Okay, maybe for a little bit, maybe you need a pity party. I'm all about the pity party, as long as it doesn't last too long. You got to be able to pull yourself out of it, okay? We want to expand that window, not soak in the hypoarousal. That's not healthy, right? So when you think about what can I do, safety, love, and resource, think of mind, body, soul. Again, I could get more complicated, but I don't see the point tonight. So mind, what are the ways that we can bring safety into our mind? It's really easy these days, especially if you're a person of color or you're part of the LGBTQ plus community, to not feel safe and to not feel loved. However, I'm telling you, I love you. I do. Oh, I'm going to get teary. But I do. I love you guys so much. And I know there are so many fucking people that do too. Millions of people love you all over the world. So if you are living in a place or working in a place where those people aren't there, fuck all those guys. There are people who love you everywhere. I swear, I promise. Okay. You are not alone. And my point with this is tap into that. Find your community. Okay. Find the places that remind you that you're loved. And when I say places, I even mean social media. It's kind of a minefield right now, so just be careful. But maybe just reach out to friends. Reach out to friends that you know care about you, that you can have a solid conversation with. That's important, okay? Family members that you know are supportive of you and care about you. If you are feeling not okay, it is not the time to call up people that you know are shitheads and try to have an argument with them. That's not going to make you feel safe and loved. All right. So in order for us to take on the world, we need to help ourselves first. You have to find that for yourself first. Okay. That's one of the biggest points here. Remember, to make that change, we need a strong community. We need strong human beings. You got to take care of you. So connect with people that you know are supportive, who care about you, who will remind you that we will fight for you no matter what. Okay. And I say this as a woman knowing that I'm being persecuted too. Yay. So connecting with men that I know support my rights is really important because it reminds me like, oh yeah, not all men are terrible and evil in the world. Like I know people who are loving and kind and will help me. And so that helps me feel safe. That helps me feel loved, right? So that's mind. Now let's think about the body. Mind, body, spirit. So body, how can we feel safe? How can we feel loved? How can we feel resourced? So in our bodies, feeling strong, going to the gym, exercising, working out, it seems like, how could that make me actually feel better, Adrian? I mean, besides all the chemicals, the hormones, the adrenaline, the endorphins, blah, 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 that like, yes, you get all this science. It gives you a sense of capability, agency, helps you reaffirm your status on this earth because you are here and you belong here. You were born the way you are and you exist and here you are in this body on this earth. Okay. And so like exercising, being in your body, and I'm not talking about just like CrossFit or something like that, but like taking a walk in the park, anything you're going to do with your body is important. Okay. So that's different ways to be with the body as far as safety and love, and also resourcing. Okay. Eating nutritious foods, reminding your body that you love it, that you care for it. So giving yourself things that are going to care for your body, and we'll talk more about food and soul in a minute. So it's not all just like, the most healthiest stuff either. I don't want you to go into like some restrictive diet because you're like, I need to be healthy to care for my body. Healthy has a lot of definitions. I'm going to let you make your own. Okay. But feeding yourself things that are healthy, that nourish you, that care for you. And then as far as safety, this is a big one, especially right now. A lot of what I'm hearing around fear is like physical harm, which has happened. And if you're in any of the populations that are persecuted, minorities, like, this. So you can take self-defense classes and things of that nature, but it might not be the most helpful thing for you right now. So it, again, is finding those people that you can surround yourself with, your communities that help you feel safe, that help you feel protected. Okay. It's important. Even if they can't be there physically with you, maybe having that conversation with them and just being able to talk about that could help. All right. These are just some ideas. So feel free to play with this on your own time. You can draw 3 circles: mind, body, spirit, or soul, whatever. And then write the things that make you feel safe, loved, and resourced in each one. Okay. So you can spend some time journaling and do this. The last one is soul, mind, body, soul, right? So safety, love, and resource in our soul. What in our soul makes you feel, or what in your soul makes you feel unsafe? And I'm not going to get into this because this is very personal for every individual person, okay? When you identify what makes you feel unsafe, sometimes it's easier to identify what makes you feel safe because it's the opposite. It's often easier for us to say, I don't like this or this upsets me than it is to find the things that we want more of and that we like. It's crazy, but it's true. Call it the negative bias of the brain, whatever you want. But sometimes we got to go to the negative. So feel free to go, what's making my soul feel unsafe? And then what's the opposite of that? All right. And then love. How can you find love from your soul? I'm a Reiki master. For me, it's about connecting to spirit. And I do that through Reiki. I do it through prayer. I do it through intention. If you're a religious type, maybe that's your maybe that's your connection. If you're not religious, but maybe spiritual, maybe that's your whatever practice suits you, whether it's crystals or going to a medium or drawing angel cards. Maybe it's being in circle, right? Like a communal dance circle, being with women, being with other people that you know are kind of in your same space that's supportive for you. Yeah, those are all great ideas. And then let me think. Yeah. And then resourced. So I'm going to kind of touch on, well, hang on, before I go into that, let's talk about food again. Food and soul. Eat things that make your soul happy. So I just told you, eat things that make you healthy. Also eat things that make your soul happy. This is coming from my Italian heart to yours. Okay. Eat things that make you happy. Balance in all things. So don't get crazy, but eat things that make you happy. That will help too. And then resourced. So looking at all three, mind, body, and spirit, how can you be resourced? How can you feel capable? It's knowing how to access things or people or community that make you feel safe, loved, and capable. Okay. And I'm going to talk about a few different things in a little bit that are all free, that you have access to, that can help you feel more safe, loved, and resourced. Okay. Capable, resourced. So this is all reactive stuff. How do I take care of myself now that I'm freaking out? All right. Many of the things you do, however, can also be proactive. And the way that they're proactive is that you make them a regular practice or a regular part of your life. Okay. So I'm in yoga teacher training right now, and I'm getting a refresher on all these beautiful tools that Veterans Yoga Project uses to help expand the window of tolerance for veterans. They also use the same philosophies for caregivers and first responders. So people who have dealt with some shit, right? And the reason that I love Veterans Yoga Project and have worked with them now off and on for over 10 years is because this stuff works. Like it really works, and it's not hard. It's not complicated. Well, I won't say it's hard. It can be hard, but it's not complicated. It's simple. Anybody can do this stuff. Okay. So their 5 tools are breath, mindful movement, guided rest, meditation, and gratitude. So I'm going to chat about each one of those just a little bit. And then I'm also going to do a share screen with you guys to show you their website. Now, you may be like listening or watching this and think, Adrian, but I'm not a veteran. I'm not a first responder. Here's the thing. Veterans Yoga Project wants the world to be a better place just as much as I do. I know this. If you use their site, you go to their online courses, you use their YouTube videos or whatever, and you're not a veteran, you're not a first responder, you're not a caregiver, just donate some money. It's that easy. They have so much awesome stuff, and it's cheaper and like higher value, in my opinion, than most of the apps you can download. So just donate some money. That's all. Just take care of them while they take care of you. Okay. So let's talk about breath for just a minute. And I am going to share my screen so you can see their website. Here we go. And if you're listening to this and you're not watching, make sure to go to veteransyogaproject.org. Okay. So this is their main website. And if you go to practices and trainings, you'll see there's an online yoga studio. So they just partnered with the VA, and they have classes every single day, like probably a minimum of 4 classes a day, closer to 6 to 8 classes a day at all hours of the day, And I mean, starting at like 5 a.m. and they'll go all the way up until like 11 o'clock at night. They're all over the country. I just did a meditation with them, with Simone, who's in Germany. So that was awesome. But they have all different types of yoga. And if you've never done yoga, this is one of the best ways to try it out for the first time, because the instructors are primarily veterans or people who work with the military community or a trauma. They're all trauma sensitive to the extreme. They are much more about being on your body and being in your body and being in your body and being on your mat than doing like the poses correctly or anything like that. They also are used to dealing with people who have to make a lot of accommodations for chronic pain or injury. So again, if you're like, well, I'm not flexible and this stuff's weird, this is such a great place for you to start. So their online yoga studio, they have a lot of classes available. They got chair yoga, yin yoga. They got yoga nidra, which is mostly meditation. They have breathwork classes, meditation classes, all kinds of stuff. And again, it's all free. Okay. So if you're a veteran, active duty military, a caregiver, a spouse, first responder, this is all here for you and for free. And if you're not one of those things and you're still like, man, this sounds pretty cool, again, go for it and just send them a donation. Just take care of them. Okay. They also have in-person classes that you can check out. And then they have a practice library. So this is where I am going to take you, is the practice library. And in the practice library, there's the live classes, again, the link to that, but they have mindful movement, and these are all on their YouTube channel. So it'll take you to YouTube, and under mindful movement, they have all of these recorded classes. So even if you can't make the online class times, there are so many options for you here. And you'll notice most of their classes are like breath work, hatha yoga, gentle yoga. Here's a chair yoga, gentle vinyasa flow. And it's really because it is designed for those who are trying to expand that window of tolerance, not just get like, yoga buff or something like that. So their classes really are designed to help us with that window of tolerance, to create a beautiful, proactive self-care practice. Okay. So try a few. I mean, the recorded ones, if you don't like it, big deal. You don't have to do it again, right? You could do 20 minutes and be like, oh, I hate this. And then try something else. It's totally fine. They also have breathing exercises. Breathing exercises are some of the most powerful things that you can do for your self-care. And look at this. The first one, it's 5 minutes long. The next one is 4 minutes long. Did you know in a matter of like 30 seconds, you can change your heart rate just by focusing on your breathing? I shit you not. This is true. You could do one of these 4-minute, 5-minute exercises and change the way you feel for the next hour or two. You do this regularly every day or multiple times a day. And after a week or two, your window of tolerance is going to expand. Absolutely. I've seen it happen time and time again with several veterans that I know, including yours truly. All right. So breathing practices are great. And they have so many different types that you can check out. They also have guided rest, which is like yoga nidra, but not always yoga nidra. So like this is yoga for sleep and relaxation, yoga for dropping into the body. And all of these have the time, right? So this one's 18 minutes. This one's 45 minutes. This one's an hour. And these are really just to help you rest and relax. And again, these classes are also on their live practice site, which they have an app for, and it's super easy to use and totally awesome. So you have options. And then they also have gratitude practices, which I think gratitude, especially right now, can be really important for us when we're in a space of what the hell is happening in the world and like, where do I fit? Like I said, we're looking for safety, love, and feelings of being capable or resourced, right? If we can find a place of gratitude, it can help us connect to safety. It can help us connect to the feeling of being loved or loving others, which often brings that forward in ourselves. And all of these things I'm sharing with you are resources. You are now resourced with these 5 tools: breath, mindful movement, guided rest, meditation, and gratitude. My gift to you. There you go. Resourced. All right. I'm going to stop sharing the screen. But again, it's veteransyogaproject.org. Okay. Let's see. What else do we want to talk about? So that's proactive self-care. We want to be expanding the window, creating a practice. I think what I want to say, one last thing about that before I move on is give yourself a break. Sometimes this stuff is hard. And say, you want to start a practice. I mean, especially we're at the beginning of the year. So how many times have you started a New Year's resolution and then like a weekend, you're like, I can't do anything. I'm such a loser. Give yourself some grace, give yourself a break, especially if you're doing this stuff because you're having a hard time. So you're in reactive self-care and then you need to add some proactive, right? If you can't do it every day, that's okay. Like if all you can do is when you're about to have a panic attack, take a minute and do some breathing, that's okay. And it doesn't even have to be these, fancy practices. It literally could just be the like, nice deep breath in and a nice long breath out. The key there being the exhale is longer than the inhale. That activates the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the nervous system that goes, shh, it's okay. Calm down. You're fine. That's what we want, right? So breathe in, long breath out. And just do that a few times. And if that's all you can do, you're doing awesome. And I am so proud of you. All right. So make sure to give yourself a break. You don't need more guilt and more crap piled back on top of you, especially not from yourself. All right. Be kind to yourself. Love yourself. This is important. Okay. So proactive self-care, reactive self-care, expanding the window of tolerance so that no matter what happens in here, we're going to be fine, right? In class today, our teacher shared a quote that I really liked. It was by the Dalai Lama. Do not let the behavior of others destroy your inner peace. Lovely, right? Do not let the behavior of others destroy your inner peace. And we can hear that, especially at times like now, and be like, wow, yeah, that's great. Thanks for that. How am I going to do that? But again, I'm going to say it again and again and again. You do have the power to do that. You are that strong. You are that capable. You just need your resources. All right. I know you can do this. I know we can do this as a community. We are strong enough to move through this together and move into the world to create what we see as a beautiful future. Okay. So take care of yourself, because in order to do that, you got to care for you. And like I said earlier, I love you. I want you to be cared for. I want you to be well resourced. I want you to feel safe in this world. It's important to me. So take care of yourself and then consider, what can I do in the world? And that's the second part of what I kind of wanted to talk about. There's a lot of activism going on right now, and there's a lot of people freaking out because they want to help and they don't know how. And, the podcast we had last weekend, me and Dr. Kaki Meller, we talked a lot about radical love, radical self-love, radical hope, and how working on yourself creates change in the community. And I've seen examples of this over and over and over again with my clients. They are doing work on themselves, and then next thing you know, their husbands start to change, right? The people around them at work start to ask questions about things they never would have asked about before. It's often when we take care of ourselves and we do the work, we give other people permission to do the same, and we allow people space to start exploring and being curious. So take care of yourself, work on yourself, and that will move out into the community. If you feel like you are not resourced enough, feel safe enough, feel loved enough to go be an activist, then don't do it. There are other ways. You don't have to go to marches. You can donate to causes that are important to you. And if you don't have any money, donate your time. There are so many different ways that you can make change in the world. It doesn't always have to be on the front lines. And that was a lesson I learned myself many years ago when I was struggling with it. And I thought, oh God, you know what? There's actually a lot of ways I can help that are not that, because that's just too much for me. So realize that there are many different ways you can move into the world. Find organizations that you care about, that you know support the causes that are important to you, that support the people that are important to you, and donate. Help them do that big, good work, okay? But take care of yourself first. You are most important. You can't help the world if you are not okay, all right? So hopefully there was some good information in here. You guys got some helpful tidbits. I hope so. And if nothing else, know you're not alone. Know that you are loved. Know that I am proud of you for every single day that you keep showing up. Things are going to get tough, or they're not. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you about it, but just don't give up. It's okay to rest, but just don't give up. All right? Take care of yourself, do what you got to do, and then get back in there. Help us create the change that we need. You matter. Every single day that you show up, you matter, and I'm glad you're here. All right. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. I hope you have a beautiful week ahead. Again, take some time with this. Do some journaling if you want. Mind, body, spirit. What helps you feel safe? What helps you feel loved? And what resources do you have to take care of yourself? Fill those circles up with ideas, and then you have it for when things are tough and you need something to resource, all right? All right. Take care, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me. Good night.